Hello, thank you very much for the lovely invitation to this conference. My name is Elitsa Georgieva. I'm from CITAC Africa and I'm Executive Director there. Yes, it's a very good question. It's one we've been looking at for many years, and I can safely say that Africa's demand for refined petroleum products has been growing very strongly and persistently for the last 2 decades. In fact, it has doubled since the 2000s, and it is continuing to grow strongly. It is mostly supported by economic growth. It is supported by very strong population growth and just general increase in demand for energy. And we expect that to continue being the case in the next 20 years as well. Angola can play an absolutely key role in not just the region, but the whole Sub-Saharan African supply chain. Its geographical position, as well as its resources, lend it a great potential to develop inland trade, to supply inland markets, as well as regionally to be a player in storage and distribution of the refined petroleum products in addition to its crude production. So effectively, I think the next step now is not just to shore up crude oil production, but to make sure that you add as much value as possible to this crude oil production by refining, by distributing in the region into countries such as Zambia, southern DRC, which are landlocked and very starved of product. So it's great to see projects such as the Barra do Dande storage project here, of course the refinery project, as well as the Lobito Corridor project. These are all moves in the right direction for Angola to play its rightful role as a regional hub for import and distribution and supply of refined products. There is a lot of investment in downstream facilities, for sure. Of course, there is the huge investment in the Dangote refinery in Nigeria, and that is undoubtedly changing trade flows, not just within the region, but also within the whole Atlantic basin. That is something that the whole global market was expecting and is adjusting to, but it's by no means preventing other countries and other investments from happening. On the contrary, a lot of them are happening. The whole coast, from Mauritania, Senegal, down to South Africa, everyone is investing in storage facilities, in expansion and improvement of port facilities, jetties, and so on. Because that's one important investment, of course, is to allow bigger cargoes. Now that demand is growing, to allow bigger cargoes to arrive, because it is cheaper to purchase large volumes. And of course, you need the onshore facilities and capacity to accommodate those larger cargoes. So investment in storage, coastal, and then distribution inland are all happening and are all quite crucial for meeting this growing demand.
Okay. And in terms of...
Yes, that's a very complex and very pertinent question. And I am happy to see that it is getting more international exposure. The fact is, Africa as a continent accounts for less than 3% of global greenhouse gas emissions. Historically, even less so. So therefore, it would be wrong to measure things in the same way as we do in China or in Europe or in the States as we do in Africa. The imperatives here are different. From our viewpoint, and I think a lot of the participants here and a lot of the participants in the African energy sector as a whole would agree that Africa needs to address its challenge of, first of all, energy access. People need to have access to some energy to start with. Then making sure this energy is reliable, sustainable, but also cheap enough for people to be able to use it. And then small steps like replacing biomass burning in households with LPG, for example, or with local solar solutions if possible. But LPG is one of the most straightforward and easy to implement solutions. So energy transition is important by all means, and it is happening. But I think we need to really look at each individual requirement in its own context. Like, for example, the example I gave with pipelines, they're good because they save money to the end consumer, but they're also good for the environment because they save CO2 emissions from trucking products. So all of these projects should be encouraged, and we should maximize the positive externalities from them, but it shouldn't stop us from investing in oil products, infrastructure and projects.
Okay.
It is a great conference. There's participants from all over the world, but most importantly, all the very important Angolan institutions are represented very well here. And it gives a great opportunity to meet both local and international players in this very happening industry. I have to congratulate you guys and girls in Angola, because from my experience, in Africa in general and in Angola in particular, women are actually better represented in the energy industry than they are in, for example, Europe or the States. Of course, there is more to do about equalizing opportunities there, but it's really amazing to see ladies at very high important positions throughout the industry. I've been working in this industry for nearly 20 years, and there have been very amazing ladies I've worked with throughout this whole time.